Okay, ladies. No, I'm not going to go there. Ladies, I'm going to just introduce some basic conversions. Like, I'm only going to really go over the ones that you're going to probably most likely see in your book. And we're going to stick to metric conversions. Okay, so we're going to ignore the US and their funny units. And we're going to stick to metric, not imperial stuff. Okay? So, we're going to start with, because these are things that you're going to see in your chem class, and if you take physics, you're probably going to see these too, right? So we'll start with, and the reason why I'm doing this is it's really important. Like, you might get when you're doing an activity right now, you might get an answer that might be in a different unit. You have to be able to convert it so you understand what the other group is reporting. So converting is really, really important. So let's look at some examples of metric conversions. I'm sure you guys have probably done this in the past, okay? So, you familiar with these units of length? Okay. So what would the symbol be for kilometer? Yeah, very good. So it's km. I'm going to change my pen here, make it a little bit thinner. Okay. What's the symbol for meter? Wow, very good. What's the symbol for centimeter? You guys sound like the choir. Millimeter. M&M. Oh, micrometer. You're going to see this symbol. This is the symbol for micro. Now, do you see that? Maybe. Is that what you see when you zoom in on a picture? So, this is the symbol for micro. So it's a U with a line. And then there's nanometer, which is, now I should double check if you can write micrometers as MCM. Could someone double check that? I've never seen it, but maybe you can. Now, for the base unit, and here we'll use meter as our base unit. So our base unit will be the meter. So that will be the base, okay? So what I mean by relative to the base is, so relative to 1 meter, so we're relative to that. What is 1 kilometer relative to that? 1,000 meters, right? So relative to the base, a kilometer is 1,000, which can be written as 1 times 10 to the 3, because it's 3 zeros, okay? This is important because I'm going to ask you to do some conversions here. Relative to the base, what's 1 centimeter? Or what's a centimeter, sorry? 100th, right? Which is 1 over 100, or 1 times 10 to the negative 2. You guys familiar with exponents? Okay. So, millimeters. What's a millimeter? Relative to a meter. Milli means 1. So a centi refers to units of 100. Milli would refer to units of 1,000. So this would be 1,000th. So if 1 over 100 is 1 times 10 to the negative 2, then 1 over 1,000 should be 1 times 10 to the negative 3. You guys are good. Really good. Micro. Micro refers to a millionth. Okay? So 1 over a million. So 1 over a million, which has how many zeros in it? Okay, so that should be 1 times 10 to the negative. Fantastic. Nanometer is 1 over a billion. How many zeros in a billion? 9. So this should be 1 times 10 to the negative 9. So there's a pattern here. Okay? So, let's look at some examples. So here's one over here, okay? Convert 50 kilometers to centimeters. Now, we don't, you're not going to really do that. What would you convert kilometers to? You might convert to meters, but you're not probably going to convert it to centimeters. But let's see if we can figure out how you would do that, okay? So we look at a kilometer, and so we're going to refer it back to the base, okay? Which is the meter. 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1 times 10 to the 3 meters, correct? And 1 centimeter, I shouldn't say 1 centimeter, but a centimeter is 1 times 10 to the negative 2 meters. So my question is, how many times bigger is a kilometer relative to a centimeter? When you have exponents, you want to compare them, right? Like if I said to you, okay, how many times bigger is 60 relative to 6? You would just say, well, 60 divided by 6, that's what? 10, right? But with exponents, how do you divide exponents? You subtract them. Very good. So how many times bigger is a kilometer relative to a centimeter? Kilometer is 10 to the 3. A centimeter is 10 to the negative 2 meters. So how many times bigger is 10 to the 3 relative to 10 to the negative 2? It would be 10 to the 5. Because 3 minus negative 2 is the same as 3 plus 2. So 1 kilometer then would be 10 to the 5 centimeters. Does that make sense? 1 kilometer is 10 to the 5 centimeters. So let's convert 50 kilometers then, okay? Let's convert 50 kilometers into centimeters. So 50 kilometers, right? Now, we want to get rid of which unit? What do we want our answer to be in? We want it in centimeters. So what we're going to do is we're going to put kilometers in the denominator, because that means it's going to cancel out. Okay. And we know we're going to be left with centimeters. 50 kilometers is how many centimeters? Well, we know that 1 kilometer is 10 to the 5 centimeters. So 10 to the 5 centimeters for every 1 kilometer. So now you can see that the kilometers cancel out, and you're left with 50 times 10 to the 5. 50 times 10 to the 5 centimeters. And we could rewrite this as 5 times 10 to the 6. It's the same thing. Because 50 is the same as 5 times 10 to the 1. So we can move the 1 over to the 5 and make it 10 to the 6. Okay? Let's do another example. Alright? Let's do micrometers to centimeters. So, relative to the base, which is a meter, what's a micrometer? Relative to the base, what was it? 10 to the negative what? 10 to the negative 6. Okay. Relative to the base, what's a centimeter? 10 to the what? 10 to the negative 2. Okay. What's the bigger unit? Centimeter, right? Centimeter is the bigger unit. Remember, a centimeter is 100th, a micrometer is 1 millionth. Okay. So we want to go from micrometers to centimeters. So we're going to go from micrometers to an answer that's going to be in centimeters. So what unit do we need to get rid of? Yeah, very good. We need to get rid of, I can't draw a straight line, so I hope you guys are okay with that. So micrometers. We want to get rid of this unit, micrometers. Now the question is, how many times smaller is a micrometer relative to a centimeter? Or how many times bigger is a centimeter relative to a micrometer? So let's do centimeters relative. So centimeters are bigger, right? So how many times bigger is a centimeter relative to a micrometer? Yep. So 10 to the negative 2 divided by 10 to the negative 6 will be the same as negative 2 minus negative 6, which is negative 2 plus 6, which is 10 to the 4. Okay. What if so 1 centimeter is how many micrometers then? Yep. So 1 centimeter is the same as 10 to the 4 micrometers. So now we have, so you can see that micrometers will cancel out, and we're left with 3,500 times 1, which is 3,500, divided by 10 to the 4. 10 to the 4 is also what number? What's 10 to the 4? 10 to the 1 is 10. 10 to the 2 is 100. 10 to the 3 is 1,000. 10 to the 4 should be 10,000. So what would be 3,500 divided by 10,000? So what would be 3,500 divided by 10,000? Right, 0.85. We can do it that way, or you can convert this number to an exponent. So that's 10 to the 3. Or with your calculator, you could probably just, I would imagine with your calculator, you just put 3,500 divided by 10 to the 4. I think your calculator will allow you to do that, right? So you might not even have to convert it. Okay, I'm going to leave the last one for you to do. All right? I'm going to leave the last one for you to do. Let's look at, oh, and then I also want you to try these ones. So here I have like a meter. I want you to convert 5 meters into kilometers, centimeters, millimeters, micrometers, nanometers. Here I want you to try millimeters, 30 millimeters, and convert it into centimeters, meters, kilometers, and so on. We'll just do a few more, but I want to look at mass. Okay? Yeah. Uh-oh, we're going back? You can finish? I'm recording this video. And I am posting it. I know. Yeah. Which one? Yeah, that's okay. I'm going to post this video so you guys can see.
Are you all talking right now?
I'm talking in it right now, and you can hear the questions that you're asking in the video because I'm recording this live. All right? Thanks, Lauren, for making this video much longer than it needs to be. Okay. Shh, quiet. All right. Conversion is also important for mass. So, what would be, so let's use the base unit for, let's use we could use the gram. Okay? So let's say the base unit is the gram. What's the symbol for gram? And by the way, the base does not have to be the gram. It could be the kilogram. Actually, let's make it a kilogram, because that's probably what most books would use. So the kilogram. What's the unit for ton? What's the unit for grams? Milligrams? So micrograms is this, but you can also write micrograms as mcg. Okay, most likely you will come across probably the symbol. No, I don't know. I asked someone to check it up. I've never seen MCEM, but I guess it's possible. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? Then there's nanograms and picograms. PG, parental guidance. Okay. The kilogram is, we'll make that the base unit, so we'll make that 1. How many times bigger is a ton? So that would be 1 times 10 to the 3, because it's 1,000 kilograms. A gram is 1,000th of a kilogram, so that would be 1 times 10 to the negative 3. A milligram is 1,000th of a gram, so that would actually be 1 times 10 to the negative 6 kilograms. A microgram is 1/1,000,000th of a gram, so that would be 1 times 10 to the negative 9 kilograms. A nanogram would be, yep, so you see the pattern here, right? Now this is all relative to what though? The kilogram. If we were to make this relative to a gram, I'm going to change the color here, okay, just so you see that. If we were to make this relative to the gram, imagine we had the gram was our base unit, then, so the gram would be 1, then a microgram would be what? Yeah, it would be 10 to the negative 3. The microgram would be 10 to the negative 6. The nanogram would be 10 to the negative 9. And the picogram, I like that name, 10 to the negative 12, okay? So you can pick the gram or the kilogram as your base. If the base was the gram, then the kilogram would be 10 to the 3, and a ton would be 10 to the 6. Okay? All right. So let's convert 5.5 kilograms to micrograms. All right? So 5.5 kilograms. So, sorry, milligrams. Okay. So we're going to convert kilograms into milligrams. Now, just by looking at the chart, okay, how many times bigger is a kilogram relative to a milligram? Yeah, very good. 10 to the 6. So whether you use the base here as the kilogram, we see that the milligram is 10 to the 6 times smaller. Or if we use the kilogram, the gram as the base, the kilogram is 10 to the 3, the milligram is 10 to the negative 3. It's still, the difference is 10 to the 6. So the kilogram is 10 to the 6 times bigger than the milligram. Does that make sense? Or the milligram is 10 to the 6 times smaller than the kilogram. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's take a look at converting kilograms to milligrams. So 5.5 kilograms. Okay, what unit do we want to get rid of, and what unit do we want left? Yep, we want to get rid of kg. So we want kilograms in the bottom, and we want milligrams on top. Okay. How many milligrams in 1 kilogram? How many times bigger is the kilogram relative to the milligram? So there are 1,000,000 milligrams, or 10 to the 6 milligrams in 1 kilogram. So what is that? So that should be 5.5 times 10 to the or 5,500,000. Okay? I'm going to stop there. We will wrap this up on Monday. Okay? There are a few other questions, and there's also stuff on volume, but we will continue this on Monday. I want to show you an interesting video on the kilogram. Because you ever wonder, like, we use these terms like gram, kilogram, meter, and you know what it is. If I say to you, what's a meter, you'll say it's what? It's how many centimeters? 100, right? But at some point, someone had to say, hey, Fred, this is a meter. Look, at some point, someone had to say, hey, Bob, this is a kilogram. How do they decide that? All right? I want to show you a video on the world's roundest object, which has something to do with the kilogram. It has a lot to do with the kilogram. Okay, I'm going to stop there. The world's roundest object, which is not my head.